Welcome to the Warframe Weapon Encyclopedia, where today we're checking out the Kuva Chakkhurr. Now, first things first, the Chakkhurr is a Kuva weapon, so the only way to get it is by vanquishing a Kuva Lich that's wielding it. Now, if you don't know how to do this, don't worry, because I recently made an updated guide on hunting Kuva Liches, and I will link it in the video description. The Kuva Chakkhurr is a semi-automatic rifle that does 50% extra direct headshot damage, and its bullets explode and do a little bit of extra damage in a 2.9 meter radius. On top of that though, both the direct hit as well as the explosion splash damage have a forced impact proc on them, which will become important later. Don't think of the Chakkhurr as an explosive weapon though, think of it more as a single target rifle that just happens to do a bit of splash damage for good measure. Now the stats on the Chakkhurr are actually quite spicy. It comes in with an absolutely massive 50% crit chance, an above average 2.3 times crit multiplier, and a solid status chance of 27%, and it's also pinpoint accurate, though the fire rate and reload time could be better. The damage is also very good. You have 260 pure impact on the actual projectile and then 106 damage on the explosion, which is composed of blast, slash and puncture. Plus you have to remember that this is a Kuva weapon, so it's gonna get some bonus innate damage based on the Warframe you spawn the Lich with. I would highly recommend you try to get either Cold or Toxin, as this will allow you to get Vital on the weapon by only using one dual stat mod. If however you get something else on the weapon, it's not that big of a deal. I personally have Heat on it and it's not too bad either. And before we check out the build, I just quickly want to mention that you get more capacity on the Kuva Chakkhurr and you also extract more mastery from it as you put on more and more forma, up to a maximum of 5. So if you want to squeeze the absolute maximum out of this thing and also unlock the ability to install a lens, you're gonna have to put on 5 forma. Now let's check out the build, and this is where the Force Impact proc becomes important, because by far the best build you can run on the Kuva Chakkhurr is an internal bleeding hybrid, because it's always gonna work thanks to the Force procs, and on top of that, the fire rate on the weapon is low enough for you to get double benefit from it. Now I like to run Argon Scope and Crit Delay for crit chance, because this sometimes gives you red crits, which are very powerful on this, but you could run bladed rounds as well. Also, if you have either bonus Cold or bonus Toxin on the weapon, you can remove one of the dual stat mods and run Rifle Aptitude or Galvanized Aptitude instead. This is one of the strongest, if not the strongest, single shot weapons in the entire game. The amount of damage the Kuva Chakkhurr can do with an internal bleeding setup is just disgusting. Plus, it's not just single target, it will splash damage to nearby enemies as well. Yes, it's not as good as on your primary target, but it's still a good amount of damage and it can actually cover a sizable area if you run Primed Firestorm. The Kuva Chakkhurr is absolutely fantastic, it does a ton of damage and it's pretty fun to use. It has a nice bit of kick to it, but it definitely has its downsides. The fire rate could be higher and the reload time is pretty long as well. It is a relatively slow weapon designed to pick off enemies one by one and splash a bit of damage to nearby targets. But if that's what you're looking for, definitely pick it up. I highly recommend it. And as always guys, I thank you very much for watching and I will see you next time. Bye bye.